spent $9,000 on shutters, and I never got anything. Not a thank you, not a note, not a nothing. And it makes, yes. But let me say this. In all fairness, we're going to give a bye to people that are listening to this. There's been times when I've done the same thing and haven't appropriately thanked or sent a gift, or we all get busy. So this is not beating up on them. It's really trying to put it, start keeping notes, cards, and make it simple. I've got one client who is in the construction business. His business now is $21 million. It is a third-generation business. When he took it over 10 years ago, it was only $10 million. And I said, what was your secret, Sean? He said, I went old school. Direct mail, very targeted to my target list of what I wanted, and I added personality, and I did sequence. I didn't get caught up in all the things we can do, because there's a million things you could do. You get good at a few things, which is why I only got 8 things in my book. You get good at those things and those things only. It will revolutionize your business.
Welcome to the $1 Million Equation Podcast, a podcast about the easiest, fastest way to build $1 million business based on the best-selling book, The $1 Million Equation. If you love business, each episode reveals all of the core fundamental essentials for growth. Now, here's your host, Richelle Shaw.
Yay, so this is probably one of my favorite interviews that I've been waiting so long to do, but we couldn't get on the right schedule. Absolutely one of my friends from way back, but we were attracted to each other because we're both implementers, because we both like to look at a project, break it down, and decide, okay, let's go do it. And my friend Nina has been crushing it for so many years. She is the go-to for any ideas. If I'm stuck, I call her. I go, okay, what should I do here? And she can like lay it out on a piece of paper. She's creative. She's just a excellent businesswoman. I want you guys all to meet my friend Nina Hershberger. Yay! So Nina, introduce yourself to the audience. Just give them a quick 2-3 minutes of who you are and have them fall in love with you as I have.
Oh, well, that's sweet. I'm the gal who, when I was a young kid, begged my parents to go door to door selling rusty bobby pins.
I love it.
I don't know if you ever knew that story.
I didn't. I've never heard that before.
Yes. Well, I used to sell Christmas cards door to door. I used to sell Avon door to door. So, this kind of thing is just in my blood. But I will say, I did work in corporate America probably for about 25, 30 years. So I did have a long career there. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And so I've been full-time as an entrepreneur for over 13 years now. And I think we met probably at least 10, 12, some years ago and stuff. Yeah. But I'm with you. I'm an implementer. It's not about getting ideas and then letting them just sit. Yeah. And let me tell you, one wise person told me something years and years ago. I was new in the direct response marketing. And I asked whether the copy that I wrote for a postcard, I think it was going to work. And the guy said, I don't know, but nothing will work if you don't do anything. So that's my wise wisdom passed on from this really smart guy.
You know what? And that's so true, because I'll never forget one time. I think my audience knows Bill Glazer. If you don't know him, please go look him up. But I was so excited. I had done this 8.5 by 11 postcard. And I wanted to get his take on it, because I had gone a really upsize and outrageous, and I flew to this event so that I just could show him. And I was like, look at my postcard. And he said the exact same thing to me. What, Richelle? I'm not looking at that. Did it work? I go, I don't know. I haven't sent it out yet. I was waiting to get your approval. And he goes, that doesn't matter, right? Like, an idea isn't good or bad. It's an idea until you implement it and get the results. And that'll tell you if it was a good idea or a bad idea. And truly, that kind of changed my life and made me a better implementer. Because so many people, I think, wait for it to be ready and for it to be perfect. And it never gets that way. Would you agree?
I absolutely. I had one client, because we do newsletters. I have a newsletter template service that can be used by any kind of industry. And I had one client, it took 1.5 years and 30 revisions for newsletter number 1. And he never did another one. I mean, really, truly, don't do anything if you're going to take that long. In fact, I think that's what makes you so brilliant, or one of the things that makes you so brilliant. I mean, you look at your stuff and you laugh at it. It's like, really, Richelle? And yet you get it out. And the only thing that matters is the cash register ringing.
That's it.
And we both understand that's the success, cash register ringing.
That's it.
I think another thing, the reason why what you do is so great, and I model your kind of style, is because everybody does think it has to be perfect. Everybody thinks it has to be 4-color. Everybody thinks it has to be glossy and all sorts, and you got to talk like businessese, I call it. And it's like, oh, scrap that. Talk like a fun. And remember Dr. Wells? Remember the one postcard you did that he wore, a hula thing with the coconuts on him bra?
Yes, the bikini. Yes. And you know what? That one, I mean, probably was his biggest response that he's ever gotten on a postcard that we ever sent out for him, as well as with him. The very first direct mail project we sent out. So that's why I kind of giggle with these folks that are, you're scared to post on social media that's free. It's like, what? We do stuff that, like, you have to mail it out. You have to actually spend money. But his very first sales letter that we sent out for him, his phone number was wrong. And so the person, it worked because one of his patients called and said, hey, I've been calling all these different numbers because the number was wrong. But I finally got to you, and I was like so embarrassed, and he's like, well, let's just fix it. So I did a handwritten, I used to have it on my desk, a handwritten note. So I wrote it on a white piece of paper. I copied it on a yellow line piece, right? So that it looked like it was a yellow notepad, and it was all about I'm sorry, and Karen's gonna get fired because Karen had the number wrong. So if you got the original one and if you got this, please call and let us know that you got this note. Well, guess what happened?
The phone
The patients were calling. Yeah, they're like, tell Karen we're so sorry, and tell her don't worry about it. We got the first one. We just didn't call because we weren't really sure how it worked, but now we're calling and we'd love to set up an appointment. So, I even turned mistakes into, as you taught me, right? Mistakes into really good success. It's just about getting the project out.
Well, you say that, but some of my very most successful is when mistakes happen. In fact, when I have a mistake happen in anything, I go, yes, because now it's a reason why. Yeah. For instance, I worked several years at the University of Notre Dame, and I did several mailings and stuff for them. One, we brought in $1.3 million. I won't go through the whole story, but it was because of a mistake I was able to even talk about it and send another piece. And $1.3 million is not shabby, and it was only a small list, so yeah. We were good.
Gosh, it's such an important lesson. We could talk like hours about how many mistakes that we've made, but I think it always comes back to is I don't care that I make the mistake. Like, the $1 million equation, I had a person who was an editor go through the book and, send it back to me with all of these things that I can change. And I was like, but it doesn't matter, right? It's already out. Like, there's nothing to do. I remember on my launch day, the day that it went to number 1 on Amazon, right? One of my former colleagues was calling me, and I thought she was calling because she wanted to get, a boatload of copies of the book, right? And it was like 5:30 on launch day. So I'm almost done. Like I'm just happy that it's over. And I finally call her back and she goes, oh, well, I just wanted to call you to tell you to stop the launch because there's 3 errors in the book that I found. And, you should stop selling it because how embarrassed are you going to be? I'm like, I'm embarrassed that you're my friend, that you called me to say stop the launch. That's what I'm embarrassed about.
I just fired a client. So, we do a lot of books, and This one client, I was going to be the publisher of this particular book, didn't help her write it. And we actually got it on Amazon. I made the cardinal mistake. I took her on as a client as a favor to somebody, and I didn't get money in hand before I started doing anything. Biggest mistake ever. If they show up, they get charged. But anyway, I made that mistake. We did all the formatting. We did any kind of changes she wants. She signed off on the book. I got it on Amazon. And next thing I know, she had turned it over. She had showed the manuscript to her hairdresser, of all people. And the hairdresser found 3 errors. And she was so embarrassed and started sending me the most nasty text you ever saw in my life. I said, and she owed me $2,000. I sent her a text and I said, I canceled the invoice. Don't ever contact me again.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, and if she'd only realized, she could have made a story out of that. I would have taken her to an Amazon bestseller. I would have done all sorts of incredible stuff. And she missed out because of that perfection syndrome. Whoever's listening to this, listen to Richelle and I and listen carefully. Get it out of your head. If you're an engineer, turn it over to the guy that was a class clown. I don't care, whatever. Yeah. But do not get into that perfection syndrome because it'll kill you.
Yes, and kill your revenue. That's what it does.
Thank you so much for listening to my passion project and the $1 Million Equation podcast. Love what you're hearing? If you like it, I love it. So click the subscribe button to get each week your new favorite episode.
So it makes you just rethink and should I change and should I update and should I just do it, right? I mean, now tons of people on this summit have said just do it, but I don't think that people really get it. Not just do it, not just start and take a year and a half to send out the one newsletter, that's why he didn't do it again, because all he thought about was it took me a year and a half and it was 30 revisions and this was so hard. And it's like, no. What was hard was all of that BS that you did. It's really not that hard. Just get it out. Just get it out. I have a former client who, when he does he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars off of it. But his perfection syndrome keeps him from making the money. Like, it drives me nuts. I said, I don't understand. Just send it. It doesn't matter. I said, and you know what's even funnier is take an old one and change the date and send it out. Because not everybody's going to read it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
You think you have to be so creative and I'm not just telling you to always do a shortcut. I'm saying that the one thing that Nina taught me that is so true. She said, Richelle, it's about consistency over time.
That's right.
It's not about being unique. It's not about being creative. It's not about having the funniest jokes in it. It's about getting it done in consistency over time. Because if you show up every single month, every other month in front of your customer, they will remember you, talk about you, refer you. Period, right? But so many people get caught up in that. And I love your template service, which is under $100. And you're silly if you're not using it, right? Because it's like, look, she's got all the content. You just have to, what is it? Just do your intro, right? Is that all you have to do?
It's a printed newsletter, so they have to do their own masthead.
Okay.
That's easy. And then put an article. We got it full of content, but you can send it out just like that if you want to. Put your name and address. Doesn't matter. Let me tell you another story. So right behind me, we built a house. We've just been in here about 7 months now. Right behind me are some blinds. So they're plantation shutters.
Yes, they're beautiful.
So the guy, we did not buy from this guy, but I'm looking at some mechanized or automated shades for upstairs. And so this guy, his name is Window Valet. That's the name of his business. So he came out and he knew I was into marketing because, I can't keep my mouth shut, just like we have to at least say something. Yeah. And so he said, there's one thing, the ideal client is the person who's just about ready to move into their house, their brand new house, who doesn't want to move in and have, windows in the bedroom totally open, and so they need something and they're getting ready. That's the ideal, but I don't know how to crack the nut to get them. He does have a guy that goes to, 10 different home places that are being built. And, we've got, by the time they put a mailbox out front, there's a little newspaper box underneath it.
Yeah.
And so then they slip something in there. I said, well, let me see what you're slipping in there. So he pulls out this traditional, it was actually a door hanger that they stick in, but it was pretty. And it just says, we do stuff. Big deal. I said, you know what? Create a newsletter and make it in goldenrod. I said, let me tell you a story. The other day, in that newspaper box, I pull up into my house and I'm looking and there's this goldenrod thing sitting there. I get out of my car and I go and I pull it out, and here's a gal who for $25 a night will take your pet overnight. Now, I saw it, I read it, I paid attention. She stood up. I said, you do it. In fact, I'll let you, here's the flyer. You can model it. So I said, but now what you got to do, because you are a window valet. What is a valet? It's a person who's helping and who's doing and stuff. I said, get a tux or get a something. You need a costume. And you need a window, and you need to look like, and it needs to be great big on that newsletter and stuff. A few days later, he's got a marketing gal in the office. Don't we they all, she probably just graduated from college. I'm sorry if you've got kids or you're the one that just graduated, And so, of course, it was pretty, and it was boring, and it didn't have his picture on it. And I said, no. So, again, it's really, really simple, but they got to think out of the box. You've got to think differently.
Yes. Stop following people who are following people who are lost.
That's right.
You don't even know if their stuff works. That's why we test all the time. And I just model the things that work. And I had to get over this fact that I needed pretty stuff. But don't get me wrong. We do some pretty stuff too. Like, as a matter of fact, Nina did this for me.
Yes.
My wonderful, beautiful tear sheet that, talks about me. It shows all of my books. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece but we've written everything in it. We make sure that it talks about me in a certain term. I'm not saying anything. We had it professionally written. Who writes newspaper articles, magazine articles. We can do pretty stuff too. However, we add in the pretty stuff with other effective stuff, with headline, with, offers always. Like, how come there's no offer? I see that all the time. I'm like, so you just sent this out and what do you expect to happen with it? What? Tell me. Oh, well, they're going to call and they're going to buy. Oh, are they? Okay, well, there's, did you tell them to call? Oh, well, they can see the phone number there. I'm like, no, you have to tell them.
Or make another offer besides just call. It's like, hello.
Yeah, call and get the free, or free temporary shades, because it does take a while to put those plantation shutters up, right? So what are you going to put up in your house? You don't want to put newspapers in this beautiful brand new house. You don't want to put old curtains, or, what do you put the sheets up? I mean, who could be so tacky to do that in your beautiful home? So what if they had the paper ones, right? Here, we'll just put up the paper ones for free, whether you buy from us or not. That's a great offer. Now you get in front of the person and you can pitch them. Well, what are you going to do with your windows? You're not going to put mini blinds up, right? You just invested, all of this money in this gorgeous house. You're not going to put up mini blinds. Here's your options. Now you've got an opening, and then you can go in and sell and close them.
That's I never thought of that. That's why I love talking to you. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, well, tell him to send me the check.
Yeah. Well, these things take 6 to 8 weeks to get.
Right. So you sit in your house and it's, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And I, one of the things that you want to solve like a right now problem so that you can solve the long-term problem, right? When I think about a service business, is that I automatically think of, okay, well, how can I get in front of the prospect by giving them an almost? It's kind of like when you go and you need to have a tooth replaced and they give you the flapper. The flapper isn't perfect, but it's going to get you so that you don't have this hole in your mouth as you're waiting for your implant to come. So it's the same idea, but it gets you in front to sell what they really want, right? And you're not competing with everybody else because you've already done them a favor. Now it's the reciprocity that kicks in, and they're more likely to buy from you.
Okay, let's talk reciprocity for a minute. So again, out in the front of our house, we have these most beautiful flowers, and they're all in pots because I don't have as much yard as I used to have. There is a local landscape place, flower place, that gives free fertilizer water. All you have to do is bring your jugs and fill up. So now, what do you think I'm thinking every week when I'm filling those jugs? I'm looking at the flowers. Today, I said, I want some landscaping next year, next spring, because I'm filling my water. It's that reciprocity. They're giving me something for free, and I'm thinking I owe them.
I owe them, and I can't wait to buy and patronize them, right?
That's right.
When somebody says, well, the Lowe's is having a sale on them, you're not going to go there. You're going to go to where you're getting the free fertilized water, right? And I think that even in building the business, I think that people make silly mistakes because they get caught up in what it should be, instead of just be who you are and give, things that people need. It's okay. You want to make the investment in attracting the right kind of people, and the right kind of person will feel that reciprocity and not just take. But I think so many entrepreneurs get focused on, how much is this going to cost me? And I'm like, that's not the right question.
Well, I go back to my window valet, and he said, I don't even remember right now what it is. I said, how many leads do you get from those things in the box? And he gave me what I said. If you increase that leads numbers by just 10%, how would that change your business? He said, oh my goodness, it would mammoth. I said, okay, and then, so how many leads do you close when you go in? He said, and he told me a number, I think 80% or whatever. I said, if you could go to 82% or 85%, he said it would literally change his business. It's those incremental, small amounts that you pay attention to that I wrote about in How to Find $10,000 in your business without spending a dime, because I wasn't asking him to spend a dime.
No.
I was just saying, if you did this and you tweak this and it could incrementally increase, it would make a big difference.
Sure. Well, I see that most folks, when they come to me, they come asking, Richelle, I need to get more leads, right? Because they think that that's their problem, which is why, that's not how you hire me. Number one is I'm like, no. Let's fill out this application. Let's go through and figure out where you are. So one of my former clients, that's what he came to me for. But when I actually looked, he had a pile of leads, piles. But what I saw was that he didn't have a sales choreography. He didn't have a system. He didn't have a system to what to do with the lead. I said, well, how do you handle the lead? Well, we call one time. If they don't call us back, then we don't. Okay, well, wait a minute. And a lot of these, especially the ones from the internet, are bad. Well, how do you know that? Well, because when I call them, they're just price shopping. Well, all of them? No. So we put in place the sales choreography, which he didn't have to spend any more money, but was closing 50% more business, making 100% more money.
Perfect.
It's like, look, if you oftentimes they just haven't figured out what the flow is and what's the next step. So I saw that you did a book, you did my tear sheet, you have a newsletter template. Show them your wonderful your wallet mailer. That one.
So
Tell us about those.
This was my original known around the world for. So it looks like a man's paper wallet. We address it, stamp it, tab it, and inside it, we put a fake piece of money. So now let me stop here a second. So in your marketing, you need personality. What just happened is my dog barked.
Yeah.
My grandchildren are coming in.
Yeah.
My little granddaughter is saying, I'm shutting the door, and we're having this recorded conversation that's going to go out to thousands of people.
Yeah.
It's just reality. So,
It is.
never be afraid of doing that. It's reality. So anyway, so we put fake money in. This is Dr. Anzalone. He's down in, Arkansas, I think it is.
Oh, no,
And
Louisiana.
this goes to people that he came into his practice, he prescribed something, they walked out, and they didn't buy. So now he's got a post coming in sequence, and I forgot again how much he said he makes off of that, but if you didn't do that, if you just let him go, and most people do,
Yep.
then you're leaving money on the table.
Sure. That's probably one of my favorites just to do, is do a no-buy list. Okay, show me everybody who didn't buy from you. Okay. Now let's go after them. Let's give them a better than better offer, right? Even in my reactivation in the $1 million equation, same strategy. These are people who have left. These are people, but you've already paid to get their attention one time. So now let's get it again, and maybe with a slightly different offer. That way you can get them coming through. Now those are fantastic. That is actually how we met, I'm pretty sure. Dr. Anzalone is actually one of my clients too. Former clients. We did a really fun joint venture together that was just ridiculous and off the charts. But he's one of those that super implementer. You say something, he's like us. Probably one of my favorites ever.
Hey, you. We are so grateful that you are part of MDE Nation. Are you enjoying this episode? Let me know what you think, especially if you have a question. I would love to answer it personally. You can go to richelleshaw.com/podcast to get more information about each episode, or to be reminded of the MDE weekly assignment and so much more. Go to richelleshaw.com/podcast.
Since we're talking about favorites, tell me about your favorite client. I've asked everybody on this summit, tell me about your favorite client. So how about you? Tell me about your favorite client ever.
I'll tell you about who it is in a second, but the criteria is somebody who allows us to just get things done and doesn't micromanage, doesn't question, and, is hands off. So I have a physician who is in a particular niche, and it is a niche where they have to pay money, so it doesn't go through insurance. And so he pays a lot of money to get leads. And so you want to convert those leads. But once they're converted, once they say, yes, I want to do what it is you do, then they get scared. And there is this remorse. And so what we did is we put together what's called a shock and awe package. And it does numbers of things. It resells them on why they should do it. It resells their family and friends, and it resells maybe their primary care physician as well. So he is the ideal. He's the one I've had the most fun with because his personality, he understands the marketing, is just all around really, really good. The ones I don't like is the one I just fired.
Right.
So he's so like this
that
they simply can't get out of their way. No, I don't do anything. Here's my 2 rules. Nothing political and nothing adult. Otherwise, we have a good time with things.
Yeah. I am. Those are my 2 rules. I have another one. Well, adult / marijuana, cannabis. That's just not my thing. It's really big here in Vegas, but no. It's not about the money. It's just about that's not my thing. So I let everybody else do that. But I love to have just random, silly products that turn into, that we make them fun in the end, right? Because nobody's excited about having a pap smear. I don't care what you say. Nobody says, yes, I can't wait to go to the doctor to have a pap smear. But we made it fun, and we made it, exciting, still 11 years later, 12 years later, he's still a client, just from basic stuff, just having a good time. So that's awesome. Well, now tell us, what do you think that folks listening, my audience, now that they've seen this, they've seen all the stuff you do, they've heard about our mistakes, what do you think is the one thing they need to do to just crush the rest of the year? Like to 2019 memorable. Now, look, if you're listening to this in 2020 or 2021, we're probably going to say the same thing too then. But what do you think is the number one thing that they need to do?
You know, the number one thing I see failure, in my opinion, is they fail to maintain a list of prospects and a list of customers. You talked about going back to your current customers and getting more money out of it. You talked about Dr. Wells, who might not have had a list before he met you. The doctor I was just telling you before, he did not have a list before I met him 5 years ago. I just looked yesterday. The list is now 56,000 people. Not all patients, but again, now he can talk to the list. Most people don't do that. That's why I was able to do $1.3 million at Notre Dame. They had the list, the specific list I was going after. So I think it all starts with a list and it all ends with the list. And of course, then there's a lot of things in between. In the book, and you can get it on Amazon. I'm telling you, you can get it on Amazon. It's $20, $19.95. I have 8 ways, and I guarantee it. It says I'll find $10,000 sitting in any business, as long as you've got a business. Now, it's not started, but it's a good place to start. I guarantee I'll find $10,000 sitting in your business and you didn't have to spend $1. Things that you're not doing and you're leaving money on the table.
Always. Well, how many times have you met with a client that says, oh, we used to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, we used to do that. Okay, well, why'd you stop? Well, because it wasn't working, and it never is one thing, and I believe that it is a combination of multi things that come to a crescendo. And then it finally, it's like the volcano that finally explodes. But it doesn't happen when you do one thing, because you get a little mini explosion, right? But when you do one thing, 2 things, just massive implementation of a whole bunch of stuff. And before you know it, here it comes and it explodes over. And it's not, it doesn't have to cost a ton of money. It just means that you're being consistent. Properly thanking a customer is half the battle. When you spent and made the investment in those beautiful shutters, what did he give you as a gift? How do you thank you?
Nothing. Not even a handwritten. I spent $9,000 on shutters, and I never got anything. Not a thank you, not a note, not a nothing.
Yeah, you see.
And in a mix, yes. But let me say this. In all fairness, we're going to give a bye to people that are listening to this. There's been times when I've done the same thing and haven't appropriately thanked or sent a gift, or we all get busy. So this is not beating up on them. It's really trying to put it, start keeping notes, cards, and make it simple. I've got one client who is in the construction business. His business now is $21 million. It is a 3rd-generation business. When he took it over 10 years ago, it was only $10 million. And I said, what was your secret, Sean? He said, I went old school. Direct mail, very targeted to my target list of what I wanted, and I added personality, and I did sequence. I didn't get caught up in all the things we can do, because there's a million things you could do. You get good at a few things, which is why I only got 8 things in my book. You get good at those things and those things only. It will revolutionize your business.
Sure. I agree. And part of even the thank you is there's services now that you can create the system. Just put it in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be handwritten. It it would be nice to get them. I got a thank you postcard on my lease on my car. And I was like, well, that's very nice. It was a significant investment and it just came automated. It didn't, wasn't handwritten. Yes, we could fix it, but it was I felt like I was valuable to them.
Right. And
I've told 15 people about it.
Yep.
So it's, if referrals are important, and referrals especially with a brand new home that you built from scratch, you're going to meet your neighbors and they're going to say, where'd you get the shutters? Well, those are fantastic. Did you think it was a good deal? Did you like them? Did you, now you're like, instead of, wow, he gave me a wonderful gift. Yes. Yeah. I talk about the gal that when I I bought my first home, she gave me a washer and dryer set for my house.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Holy cow.
So I told everybody, right?
Well,
and
yes.
and my first house was $125,000. She gave me a washer and dryer. She said, I just want to thank you so much. I know that this was a long process, which it was, but, thank you very much. It wasn't a really nice one. It was brand new, but it was just a standard. So when I upgraded to my palatial estate, she was out of the business. She was doing something else. And I used another realtor. She gave me a pot from Costco with the pasta in it.
Yeah.
The little glass jar with the pasta in it with a thank you note. I didn't refer her. The other one, I bought a fourplex, a triplex. You know what I mean? And this was a huge, she made a tremendous commission. And I went, really? Not that she needed to buy my washer and dryer. But I thought that it could have been now they have rules that it can't be over $50 and da-da-da-da. And you just made like your commission for the year off of this house.
Mm-hmm.
You can make some adjustments. So I know that if you are in a business where you want referrals, that the best thing to get is a really great thank you gift. One of the things we did with the client that does the backyard courts, right, is that his thank you gift is we do a backyard party. Yeah. So that when it's all done, they've got this beautiful, court to invite all of their friends, and we throw a party. Now, at first it used to be really elaborate, and then it's like, no, he goes to Little Caesars and gets the $5 pizzas, and he found a trophy place that they have a 3-point contest, so the little kids sit there and shoot the 3-point contest, but they invite all of their friends. Now they're talking about him, they're talking about the court, they're talking about, and that's where people who buy these courts, they live around people who want them too. So we've used the thank you gifts, the thank you parties to really generate lots and lots of more business and more money for him, which worked really, really well. But there's so many things that just by taking care of the customer that you have and is included in your book, that they can transform their business and really just change the world, right? Change their world at least. Change their world from struggling to, oh, okay, now I can take a breather, because then those leads come in automatically. They really do. Well, gosh, I talked a lot. And I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
I always learn.
That's crazy, 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 crazy. All right, so any final things for our wonderful audience listening to you? Of course, below we'll have all kind of links where you can get the newsletter service if you want to do a monthly newsletter, which if you've read The $1 Million Equation, it's one of the core things that I talk about. There will be a link to her book. There will be all things if you want to chat with Nina and see if you can hire her. That'll be underneath too, but she's going to put you through a couple of things before you get to just go directly. But, anything else you want to talk to them about before you go?
Well, I'm just saying congratulations for being smart enough to be on Richelle's summit, online summit, because there's nobody better. And she attracts the best of the best. And I know lots and lots and lots of ones that you've already been interviewing. And so congratulations to you, and congratulations to the people that were smart enough to listen in.
Oh, you're so awesome. I am forever grateful, and I thank you, my friend. Have a good one.
Thank you.